$500 is not enough to buy a gaming PC in 2026. But it is enough to build one. The value comparison between a PC and a console has drastically changed over the last few months now that we gotta pay hundreds of dollars more for RAM, SSDs, and soon to be GPUs. If you have $500 and just wanna buy a gaming device that's ready to go, I actually would go with the console right now. But if you wanna spend the time learning how to pick all the correct parts and then putting them all together, this price range is still possible. This $500 fully custom build cranked out 89 FPS in Battlefield 6 and even 95 FPS in Valve's new Deadlock, all in 1080p. And as you can see, this isn't a Dell Optiplex or an Office PC converted into a gaming PC, it's all fully custom parts, and I'll make this build guide video as easy to copy as possible. And real quickly, if you're new around here, my name is Zach, and budget builds like this are kind of my specialty, but I can help you with anything gaming PC related. I have build guide videos of all different price ranges, a ton of totally free PC building tools and resources on my website, and I even sell pre-builts on zttbuilds.com. My job isn't to sway you one way or another, it's just to show you all of the available options like this $500 fully custom gaming PC for 2026. Alright, so let's jump into this parts list, and there's really only one disclaimer that I'll need throughout this video. At $500 in this economy, you have to be willing to buy at least a couple of used parts. There's simply no way that you could put together a competent gaming PC in 2026 with all new parts for only 500 bucks. The RAM and SSD would take up almost all of that budget alone. Now, since some of these parts are used, you won't be able to copy my exact one-of-one deals, but I'm gonna do my best to show you how to replicate them. The good news is that I didn't score any local or crazy once-in-a-lifetime deals. All these parts were purchased online, so you all have access to the same deals and prices that I did, at least if you live here in the States. What you also have access to is the sponsor of today's video, Okeanos, and their brand new Aqua 6 Infinity case. Okeanos just keeps cranking out the affordable options. This is yet another one to consider. It's a panoramic display that's ATX size with 3 pre-installed ARGB fans. This time they're infinity mirror fans though, and those two up at the front are reverse bladed for a nice front to back airflow setup as well as amazing aesthetics. I took full advantage of the 360mm radiator mounting up at the top. This IO is dialed in up front. It's also a tool-free design which makes building convenient, and it has just a splash of wood grain to polish it off. Thanks to Okeanos for sponsoring this video, and the link for the Aqua 6 Infinity is down in the description. With that being said, the CPU we're starting with is a good old-fashioned Ryzen 5 3600. I grabbed this for $60 used over on eBay, and to be honest with you, that's not even a great deal. 60 bucks is about the going rate for these, and they have been the same price for the last few years now. This is an older 6-core and 12-threaded chip, but it's still very capable, especially for this level of a build. This is the one part though that you can easily just switch to new if that's what you rather do. I would just buy a Ryzen 5 5500 instead. The newer Ryzen 5 5500 trades blows with the older 3600, so they're roughly the same level of performance, but you can snag a 5500 brand new off Amazon for 70 to 85 bucks. With $500 to spend, we do need to save wherever we can, but the one thing we lose out on with a 3600 is that it doesn't come with the CPU cooler. The 5500 brand new in box will come with the stock Wraith Stealth cooler, but I actually bought one of these exact ones directly on Amazon for only $11. These are also available any day of the week, and if I had more money to spend, I would have paid like $16 for an ID Cooling SE214 XT, but we don't have that kind of money to spend. I'm still coming out on top though, because between the 3600 and Wraith Stealth, that's $71. That's still cheaper than a 5500 brand new, but that could change over time. I've snagged them for less than that over the last year. Next up, we get to the motherboard, and this will work with either the 3600 or a 5500, and that's simply the cheapest B550 that I can find. This is the Gigabyte B550MK, and I got this for $66 over on Amazon resale. If you click the all button when searching on Amazon and click resale, this will show you the used components, and I've been buying motherboards this way for projects like this for a really long time. AM4 motherboards aren't really that risky because you'll still get the easy Amazon return process if something does go wrong, but for AM4 specifically, there aren't any pins on the motherboard, which is usually what breaks. AM4 CPUs have the pins where the motherboard socket is just the holes. There's not much that can go wrong with these used, but it is still definitely not a guarantee. This motherboard worked perfectly fine, although it's not super ideal. The VRMs aren't going to be impressive at all, so I wouldn't pair this with an X3D or high-level Ryzen Ryzen chip. There's very minimal ports on the back and expansion options like PCIe and M.2. There's also no built-in Wi-Fi. It's basically the minimum of what we need, but that's good for a $500 build because it still gets the job done and lets us spend our money elsewhere. Now, the craziest deal in this entire build is actually the RAM. I know, I haven't said that in a very long time, but I'll admit I did get a little lucky with this kit. This is a Crucial 2x8GB DDR4 kit that's clocked at 4,000 megahertz with a CL rating of just 18. Even before the RAM shortage, I honestly don't think I've ever used DDR4 this fast. Usually I'm buying kits at 32 or 3600 megahertz, and that's plenty fast enough. 4,000 megahertz is seriously impressive, and we had no problems just enabling that with XMP in the BIOS. Now, yes, I know it's from Crucial and they're on my list because of how they abandoned the consumer market, but I bought this used, so it's not like I'm sending any additional money to them. I grabbed this used kit off Jawa for only $90, and yeah, 6 months ago that would have been a terrible deal, but in 2026, it's the best deal in my entire build. 16 gig DDR4 kits at slower speeds are usually going for $130 to $150 now, which even hurts just to say. But yeah, $90 is a steal and a half right now considering our current market. Now, to balance this all out, we have the worst deal or product in this entire build, which is probably the SSD, and I don't even know how to pronounce this one. It's the Ayoveti 512GB SSD, which was just the cheapest Gen 3 NVMe that I could find used or new. I bought this brand new off Amazon for $82, and that was indeed by far the cheapest half a terabyte drive that I could even find. And yeah, if you thought that we would squeeze a 1 terabyte NVMe into a $500 build in early 2026, you probably just aren't up with the times, because even this is actually a pretty good price. We honestly had no issues with this drive though, and it worked pretty well for benchmarking. I have no idea how long this will last or what the warranty policy or customer support looks like, but for now it's fine, and the reviews on Amazon were good enough for me to take the gamble. Next up, we have the power supply, and at this point, this isn't a gamble at all. It's yet again the Raid Max Cobra 650 watt unit that I got on Newegg for $35, but it's been available at $40 for several months now. If you're new around here, this might sound like a wild card, but longtime viewers or even people that have just watched the last few videos, they have all seen this in dozens of builds, and it's rated tier C by the experts, so it's good enough for budget PCs like this. 650 watts is more than enough for our CPU and GPU combo. We'll talk about the GPU here soon, but it's also ATX 3.1 and 80 plus gold certified. It's some of the best value for budget builds right now, and I really hope this deal doesn't go away anytime soon. After that, we get to the case, and now this one is definitely a gamble because I didn't know anything about it. It's the GameMax Defender, which is sitting on Newegg brand new for just 50 bucks. I think that price is creeping up a little bit, just as a heads up, but Newegg always has other cheap case options like this, which will get the job done. GameMax and DIY PC are the cheaper brands, and you won't get any bells or whistles, but it's at least good enough for our PC today. This Defender has 4 pre-installed ARGB fans, and it's on the bigger side of micro ATX cases. The cable management was a little scary as soon as I looked at it. I build all these PCs on my Twitch live stream, so feel free to drop a follow, but over the course of building inside of here, it really wasn't all that terrible. There's a huge PSU basement where you can hide the excess cables, and there's enough zip tie down points to keep most of it looking decently neat. Not gonna win any award for cable management inside of this thing, but again, just like most of the other parts, it gets the job done and it has enough airflow. Now finally, we have one more component in here, which is of course the GPU, and I'm not gonna lie, this is actually one of my best deals that I've gotten, maybe for the whole year. This is a Gigabyte OC RTX 2060, and it was listed over on Jawa for only $115. That is not the standard price these days for a 2060. They're usually a bit higher, around $130 to $140, but this was listed by the official Jawa account and specifically lower in price because it was labeled as scratched and dented. I went through the pictures and didn't see anything crazy. There's just a couple of nicks here and there, but overall it's not in terrible shape. The official Jawa account sells the GPUs that were traded in from other customers, so I think this was them just playing it safe a little bit and making sure nobody would be unhappy purchasing a GPU that's a little banged up. In 2026, for a $500 gaming PC, we have to make some compromises, and a scratched GPU is perfectly fine for someone like me. The Ryzen 5 3600 and RTX 2060 have been a proven and reliable combo for so many years now. They started off as some solid price to performance mid-range value that's dipped down now to entry or budget level, but it's still pretty good, as we'll see in the benchmarking section. Before that though, here's what my final parts list looks like, and as you can see, my total came out to $509. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with that given today's current market. subscribe. Please don't compare this parts list to previous $500 build guides before all the shortages, because those will completely smoke this one in terms of FPS per dollar value. But for 2026 and not using an OEM PC as our starting point, I'm glad that this is at least possible if you're willing to hunt for a few good used deals. Let's jump into some benchmarks though and see what we're looking like. And the first game up is Helldivers 2, because we need all the help we can get spread in democracy. In 1080p with medium settings, this $500 build cranked out 67 FPS. I totally did not put that in the video on purpose, and as I'm writing the script for this video, I'm regretting choosing this one to showcase. But again, spreading democracy is the most important thing, but I'm sorry for ruining the comment section with this benchmark. Next up, here's Battlefield 6 running in 1080p low, and here we got 89 FPS. We also tested the brand new Resident Evil Requiem, which we actually have a dedicated budget GPU benchmarking video for, and in 1080p low, we got 68 FPS, which is pretty impressive for a brand new title. Here's also Marvel Rivals in 1080p very low, getting 93 FPS, and here's Cyberpunk in 1080p medium, getting 74. Here's the rest of the games that we tested, and yeah, everything is playable and good enough, at least in my book. This is honestly a little comforting knowing that this is a $500 build during these crazy tough times as a PC builder. If you want to see the full benchmarking run with more games and longer gameplay clips, that video was just uploaded to the ZTT Extras channel. But yeah, hopefully this shines some light that this price range is still possible, but only if you're willing to buy some used or even scratch and dented parts. If you want to see what an even cheaper $300 gaming PC looks like in 2026, that video is up on the screen right now.